There we go. Hello, welcome. I am Briar Harvey. This is the Neurodiversity Media Network, and we are here today with the fabulous Alex Watt. It's episode 5
Mhm.
of the Maiden Mother Wise One sequence, and today is about the Wise One.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about menopause, croning, all of the
Mhm.
fun stuff. I also want to recommend that you find the interview I did. It's in Voices of Neurodiversity. I'll link it in the show notes with Karina Blackheart, the crone herself. It was delightful. We're going to focus on the scientific aspect, of which there is little because
Mhm.
we do not study women. And we've talked about that a lot on this show at this point in time, I feel. But it's a really damaging thing here.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm so excited to be here, not to talk about this. Like, I am excited to talk about it, but I feel like this should be something we already talk about.
Right. This is really damaging to women
Mhm.
because when we are not fuckable, we are invisible.
Mhm.
And when we are invisible, we do not deserve or get the actual medical treatment that we require. And this is a running theme, especially for women of color
Mhm.
or women who are impoverished, women in other minority or disadvantaged intersectionalities. This is a problem. And it continues to be, in fact, I would argue, has gotten worse
Yep.
in the last 20 to 30 years. And so it's really an issue.
Mhm. And also, I'm noticing that like the label for menopause and the label that doesn't fit the general population. Therefore, it's not what people think it is. So then you're overlooked. You're overlooking this whole category of women who are struggling with stepping into the crone era, but not identifying as crone. And
Right,
so,
because that's terrible. Nobody wants to be a crone in any
mhm.
way, shape, or form.
And for instance, someone who is like me, you're not wanting to identify as a crone when you're in your 20s.
Mm.
Not letting people know that, like, oh, by the way, everything that a woman's supposed to be, I'm not anymore. And so trying to open up those doors so people can communicate and talk about it. When I say I started menopause at 28, people are blown away. They do not believe it.
No, no. Like, surely you must be mistaken about what's happening in your own body, Alex.
Surely I must not know. But the reality is when I had my hysterectomy and I started to go bald, I was like, oh, we're here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Big bald patches, like large. And the common answer to that solution was like, lower your stress. Lower your stress. You don't
Right,
have
of
menopause,
course.
just lower your stress. And then once I ran a menopause blood work, I was like, actually, right here, everything is wrong. Nothing is the where it should be, not even close. I'm not just losing my hair, I am hot. I can't eat. Things bother me. Sensory things that I struggled with as a neurodivergent person were then heightened. I was even more aware of things. Sounds were a big one for me, texture too on my skin. And then we go into like the periods before when I had a womb versus I still had all the period feeling without the period. So the extreme ovary pain for myself, my breasts were tender, my lower back, you name it. And then it's like your libido tanks. And
We're definitely not talking about that.
why would we? And then wanting to feel normal again, wanting to feel that I wanted to sexually engage or even feel pleasure because I'm a very pleasurable person. It was something that I wanted back. And it's all I got was, well, you're there. No answers, no resources, no suggestions. It was just like, you're there. This is just the next part of your life. Have fun.
Have fun, enjoy.
Yeah.
We stopped giving women progesterone
Mhm.
which is a incredibly common hormone replacement therapy, because of one study
Mhm.
that found women in their 80s might get cancer if they were given progesterone artificially,
Yeah.
which is not when premenopausal women in particular
Yep.
could use
Mhm.
hormone replacement therapy. And like, this one really blows my mind because it's almost cruel,
Mhm.
the way in which we withhold something that is not in any way harmful to us, that would materially improve our lives.
Mhm.
But one study, which has since been disproved multiple times,
Yep.
said it might give you cancer, and so doctors will not recommend HRT now. You have
But
to beg.
yeah, you literally have to beg, and they still refuse most of the time. But if you are a young girl, they'll say, "Oh, you have hard periods? Let's put you on birth control." They will hand that out like candy to people. Yet us who are struggling with hormone imbalancement have to actually fight to get any kind of support. And for me, they were like, "Well, we took out your uterus because of cancerous issues in the future, so we don't want to do that. We left you ovaries."
Oh, well, great. Thanks.
Great. One more thing that's not working. Thank you.
It's like
Yeah,
a party favor I didn't ask for.
pretty much. Yeah, and it's like I didn't also ask for the hysterectomy. That was just the end game for everything I was struggling with. The endometriosis had been so bad and had so many struggles. I didn't choose that either. But previous to that,
And we know too with endo, like
mhm,
early prophylactic treatment in our teens, when we're making it up that we're having hard periods with painful cramping, right? We
yeah.
can't win no matter what we do here.
No, and then there's been beautiful studies on HRT, how it's helped women go through perimenopause functioning, feeling good, still sleeping. And it's lasting that there's a gap now where perimenopause used to be from 5 to 10 years. It's like it's pushing it past that a little bit. Yet to get that, you have to fight for things. And this is a commonality when we're talking about women. We're fighting for our rights continuously. And it doesn't stop at menopause. And as a neurodivergent, can you imagine? We don't sleep very good, most of us, anyways. Some of us can't sleep worth trash. Then add being hot all night and emotional. So then we're going back into, and then it's like, of course, our mental health tanks. We,
Duh.
right? But then the common things, it's like, well, you have depression and you have, this is just from menopause, or same after motherhood, you just have motherhood anxiety. No, my coping skills and my body are not regulating together. And you are not supporting that. You are just slapping a band-aid on it, calling it what it is, and moving on.
So let's start. We've gotten the rant out of the
Yeah,
way,
yes.
I hope, at least a little bit of it.
A little bit.
Let's start with what the early perimenopause symptoms are.
Mhm. So early perimenopause symptoms can look like or not be. So this is just a list we're going to go through. You may have some, you may not have. Periods are not being regular, or they're starting to taper off and you're getting shorter windows. Migraines, so similar to like things we already struggle with. Um, or heavy bleeding. It can go other way. It can go really light bleeding or extra heavy bleeding. You can start, once again, hot flashes, sensory rashes on your body, breast tenderness or firming. Um, the sleep is like the big one, sleep regulation, because you no longer sleep at night. You're just hot and moody, mood swings. You can also find that you're not excited about things you used to be, like things that you used to think are passionate or a hobby or fun, no longer give you that like that good hype, good energy, the dopamine hit that we chase. We all chase as humans, we do, right? But you start to like lose enjoyment in life. And then the low libido is the biggest one. You start to feel not into sex or not interested, you're not feeling horny, emotional about you can be emotional about it. It can be like when we first lose our virginity, there's that time where it's kind of there's a lot of emotions attached to it. You can go back to that. Vaginal dryness. You can also find that you have bacteria more often down there because your body's not releasing
Oh,
the
that's a big
hormones.
one that
Yeah,
I never heard mentioned. The number of yeast
yeah.
infections has increased significantly. And I wish someone had said, hey, this is the thing that you should pay attention to.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you talk to older people, they'll just tell you like, "Well, our family told us to just go to the washroom after we have sex," or just and it's like, "But you're struggling with these issues and it's telling you that your vaginal pH, there's something off there." And that's just like a key to you're stepping into the next stage of your life. And it varies on people. Sometimes who get food aversions. You wouldn't think so, and you almost feel like you're pregnant. So it's like a food aversion or a smell aversion. And so, because the symptoms are so wide based on different people, it's often overlooked as something else.
Hmm. Or, just hysteria.
Just being crazy women. Why would we know what our bodies are doing? Mhm,
So that's a really it's a broad list of symptoms to which I
mhm.
was going, oh yeah, shit. A lot of this checks out. And what what happens now? Because we know that the healthcare system for all of us, it doesn't matter where you are. There are
No.
a few countries in Europe where the healthcare system is not antagonistic in this regard. Lucky you.
Mhm, mhm.
But for the rest of us, your healthcare is likely to be very antagonistic when it comes to getting the treatment and advocacy that you need. So let's talk about how we go about doing that.
This is a conversation I had with a client this morning. I think the biggest thing to remember when you're advocating for yourself is you have to switch. They work for you. That's it. They work for you, and you have to approach very positively in a way like that, that this is what I'm going through. This is what I would like. This is what I need. And when they push back, you can be like, I can validate everything on that list is exactly what I need. Asking for blood work. Blood work shows sometimes it's hard because based on cycle times during a month, but blood work will show where areas are dipping low, like we are becoming cortisol resistant. That's going to show in our blood work. But you really have to put on your assertiveness hat or they overlook you. They'll tell you, "Oh, would you like an antidepressant? Because you might just be a little bit sad." Have you tried birth control? I'm 40 years old.
So this is a place where our neurodivergent humans struggle.
Yep.
Let's talk about very specifically then what this looks like and how you want to go to your doctor.
So for neurodivergent people that I have worked with or women, even in postpartum women, I'm like, make a list. Make a list of your symptoms so that you know for yourself. You don't have to be like, they're talking to you. And as neurodivergent people, we may think that we're going crazy a little bit or we're wrong because we're talking and we're seeing the look on their face and we're reading those people immediately. So having a list that validates everything that you're going through is really important because if you don't feel like you can talk it out, you at least have a list to prove to them. Not that you have to prove to them, but just to be like, ha, dick, I got it right here, right? Um, really going in on a good day. Don't go in on a day that you feel rushed. Advocate for yourself. You know, if you're having a bad day, don't feel pressure that you have to follow through with this. But we also need to remember that healthcare is self care in some aspects. The better we feel, the better we can regulate. But it is really hard because most of us are going to mask to go into that. So that's when I say, like, try to put on your like villain mask, be like, you work for me, and hype yourself up for it because and I feel so crappy when I say this, but if we don't advocate for ourselves or our children, nobody else is.
That's correct. And
Mhm.
there are places where I absolutely advise you seek out a patient advocate
Yes.
because those roles exist if
Mhm.
you are in an emergent
Mhm.
situation, especially if you are
Yes.
in a hospital. Please always ask
Mhm.
for a patient advocate, even if you don't think that you need one.
Yes.
Ask for one.
Yes. For in Canada, we can also ask a receptionist to sit in on our appointments if it's a
Ooh.
woman. So
Hmm.
there's that other thing. So if it's a comfort level of that is a masculine presenting in front of you that you don't feel comfortable with as a doctor, you can ask for them to sit with you to
I believe we have the same
Mhm,
requirement here in the States
mhm,
of needing a nurse if
mhm.
it's a male doctor and you would like to have a female present. So,
But I found that, like, because they are nurses here too, they're like LPNs, they will advocate with you. They listen more because they have the same hearts as we do. They're willing to listen, if that makes sense. Like, it's like a more supportive energy. Also, you can ask a social worker. Social workers they're not just for what people think they are. They advocate for people's rights and they give resources and they have such help. They can also sit in with you. They can also say, well, you don't if do you understand what they're saying if it's medical terminology and break it down slowly and better for you.
one of the things that I think happens a lot for marginalized people
Mhm,
is that they assume that asking for help will be seen as a measure of their proficiency, as in not
mhm.
having enough.
Yep.
I think, in fact, the opposite is true.
Mhm. And so also just because it's part of something I do because I have the trauma, asking for somebody's help is then trusting that they have our best interests at heart, that they are not going to let us down like other people have. So to us, it feels like weakness, but there is so much power in that because they help you to understand and not carry the load, but carry the load in that moment. And I totally agree with you, Briar. But it's
If
hard to find spaces to be able to
right.
ask. Mhm.
I have a whole show about that with Maurice
Yes.
Lowen. Ask for help.
Mhm,
One of the things that is really important here is that you need to know ahead of time potential treatments that you would like to explore,
mhm.
potential tests that you would like to have done, and you need to be able to have concrete evidence for
Mhm.
what would make those tests or
Valid.
procedures or drugs valid. So, how do you advocate people work through this process?
So I always tell from the beginning, try to track your period. If you're not getting a period, try to still track when you feel those energy dips. We all feel them. You'll feel it, and then you might get like your ovaries cramp, lower back pain, just to track that. So that when they ask you, because some blood work has to be done on certain days. And first thing in the morning, lots of blood work. What people don't understand is like we have to fast 12 hours for hormones because anything we eat or what we do makes them bounce back around. So tracking your period so that you know, because they're going to ask. That's like, they're like, when was your last period? And if you don't know, that's okay. But like being able to advocate, like, I know this is when I should get blood work for FSH at 7 days or 15, th- then they know they take it to value because they're like, she's done her work. And then I would also say, like, once again, write down your symptoms, have that all go. For me, when I started losing my hair, it was like patches this big. So I'm like, well, look, I'm going bald. And so having all those resources to be able to show them immediately helps them. Validating, knowing that, like, are you comfortable with actually being on hormone replacement therapy? Is that something you want to do? Or is there another option you would like to look? Because now they're noticing that, like, certain medications that are actually for other things actually help women in other areas. Like endo and PCOS treatment is not actually endo and PCOS treatment. And so being open, it takes a lot of research and there's not a lot out there and I'm sorry for that. So sometimes it's trial and error. They will offer you a solution and it may not work. But we're going in there to be like, this is what I need. This is how I feel. Something's not right. Please, like, take it seriously.
So, something that I always recommend for people with chronic illness
Hmm.
or who are managing, especially their children's chronic health conditions, is that you create yourself a binder
Hmm.
and that you have all of your medical records in them. You have all of your test results.
Hmm.
You have all of your documentation, and you can get this from your doctors. You can
Yes.
compile it yourself.
Hmm.
Your medical records belong to you. This is a
Yes.
thing that people really struggle with.
Hmm.
Anything that's documented about you in any way, shape, or form belongs to you,
To
and
you.
you have a right to ask for them, and you have a right to have copies of them. You may have to pay for them,
Hmm.
but they belong to you.
You also have a right to question the stuff that's documented in there, because if
That's
there is
correct.
something they do not disclose to you but is documented in your chart, you have every right to question that and ask for further, why is that there? Because once I obtained my medical records, I was like, they knew I had endometriosis when I was like 15. Nobody told me that. I wasn't told until 19, 18. Hmm. Yeah.
So, compiling a binder, and I think I'm pretty sure I have a resource for this, a
Hmm.
shop on Etsy that has some good workbook pages for this.
Hmm.
Um, put it all together in a binder, really be aware of what you've got and what you're asking for, and this is hard. I'm
Hmm.
not going to
Oh,
deny
it's
that
not easy.
putting all of this work together requires an exceptional amount of executive functioning skills, and if this is a place that you struggle, I encourage you to seek out a buddy or a doula,
Yep. Hmm.
right,
Yep.
who can help you sit and make these calls or
Hmm.
pretend to be you. That is
Hmm.
not medical advice.
Hmm.
Like, truly, there are options here
Yeah.
for getting your records together and coming off as a person who is advocating for their own care. And when you go in with that mindset, it is much easier to be taken seriously.
Absolutely. And like for us, when I work with people and they go through their birth, they're given their birth record right there. I mean, it's put in and I'm like, put that in a folder, keep that. You need to know like what happened to both you and the baby. You need to keep that into a record. And for my kids, and even the one we adopted, I have his folder because when I go in and they try to like, I'm like, no, no, no. Also, I've noticed because of being women and being women that if we have those things, then like you said, they take us more seriously, but also then we're advocating for things that they may not even they'll overlook. They'll just overlook it and they'll just be like and they'll tell you, like I said, once again, you need this, or do you want a happy pill, or do you want it? It's like, no, I had a cyst on my ovary. Could you check if there's still cysts on my ovary? Because that's causing this, this, and this. Advocating for yourself. I know 100% as a person that's neurodivergent and I get burnt out that advocating for myself is freaking hard. I can advocate the crap for other people. That's no problem. That's like my specialty, no issue. But for myself, it's hard. So
Which
when
is
I walk
why
in,
we have to ask for help.
exactly. So it always goes back to like, we need to have supports. We need to ask for help. We need to be aware that social workers are not there just to make us feel they get a bad rep, but sometimes they're there for to advocate for us. Mental health support workers. We have people who are going to sit in on appointments with us who are going to advocate for it. Bring a friend. Nothing makes a doctor squirm more than two women in there to talk about menopause, let me tell you.
I believe you.
Yeah, it was good. But I just needed it because I felt like one of my doctors was talking down to me, that I didn't know what I was going through. But it's not just me who suffers. it's my whole home, my kids, my husband. I'm irritated. I'm tired. I'm emotional. And then I just want to burn a village down. And that's not helpful either because I'm just everywhere. Everything is unbalanced. So the wheel of my life is just like flat on one spot. So it goes around. It's like, oh, we're doing good. Menopause. Oh, we're doing okay. Just kidding. So advocating for this.
All right. So, what are walk us through potential treatment options.
Okay.
This may not be the right one for you, and
No.
we're not offering medical advice here. We're saying these are things that you can consider and explore.
So for myself, they went straight to actually progesterone was a treatment because of having endometriosis and I had already been on it. It actually didn't work for me because I was no longer just struggling with hormonal and I had adrenal fatigue. Of course I do. Why wouldn't we, right? And my cortisone was not like I was not tolerant. I could not keep my blood sugars up for the life of me. So then I was took my own medical records into my own hands and I went to a naturopath. Through working with my naturopath, I've been on black cohosh, I'm on an adrenal fatigue pill, I am on a whole whack load of vitamins. And if I'm honest, my body handles that better. I believe for myself when I went through trying to have children, and I believe this is similar to other people who have struggled with fertility, because we've been through so much, we build a tolerance to it. So when we're getting estrogen, progesterone, Clomid, all these things, we build a tolerance to it later. So when we have menopause, it doesn't work in the way that it does. But they'll offer you birth control. Mhm. That's a guarantee. I know some women who struggle, they'll offer metformin because they're worried that they're bleeding too much because it helps blood clot through periods, which is not what it should do, but it does. And so, mhm,
Ablations are another
mhm,
thing that
yep.
may or may not be offered, but are viable, especially if you are done having children. They
Mhm.
basically cauterize
Oh,
your
yeah.
cervix
Cervix
and
and you can also do I as some say, you've heard me talk about this as a D&C where they remove the lining on the
right.
inside of the uterus. Similar thing once again. They may talk to you about actually just having a hysterectomy. Because in Canada, they're becoming a lot chill about that. They're like, just get rid of it. The problem is once we do get rid of it, it doesn't change the fact that we're struggling with hormone regulation.
Right.
But you may not get a period. But you're still gonna sweat and you're still gonna have all these mood imbalances. You may not know the libido, all these things. So it's like this is not always the solution to this.
Okay. So, um, let's talk then. You mentioned briefly you saw your naturopath.
Mhm.
There are some other good alternative medical solutions here. Name us a few that people can explore.
So if you're into like different types of medicine, which is what we're talking about, so then there's a naturopath. You're going to talk about acupuncture, reflexology. People may not believe that, but it actually is really good. Massage because it helps us drain the glands that we are building up in our system, helps everything muscles tight, loosen up. Often,
Particularly lymphatic
this
massage, and that is a
absolutely.
different specialty. Here in the
Mhm.
States, you'll need to find someone who is certified in lymphatic massage.
And then also in Canada, they have rain air massage, which is similar to lymphatic. And once again, that's certified different too. Cupping is also a thing where they heat them up and put them on the body. Uh, lots of people go to Chinese medicine and Chinese acupuncture. I know that there's benefit in that. So trying these different things, taking a get chance and advocating for yourself and reaching out is going to give you solutions. If the medical system has failed you, I highly encourage doing that because there's somebody who can give you some form of relief.
And I think, unfortunately, that is the message that we have to leave you with.
Yeah.
The medical system is unlikely to be your advocate in this part of your life. And with that being the case, and you requiring to be your own advocate, it's important that you look at alternative solutions if you cannot get where you need to go with traditional medicine.
No, and as I was talking with Briar in the past, it's like our crone stage is our longest stage. We deserve to live and be happy and find pleasure and be fulfilled in that. It is not the time to give up and just take what life is throwing at us at that moment. So finding solutions to be able to live again and to feel and try new things because things that worked before no longer work. But you are still you. You're stepping into this glorious stage of your life where sex can still be fun, and that's the key word. Sex can still be fun and arousal. And, our end game isn't just always to finish. And that's a big conversation, too. We need to go back to touch and intimacy and connection and pleasure. And we deserve that as women, even if we're in our crone stage.
Because that is yet another conversation we do
Hmm.
not have. Pleasure changes
Yes.
during menopause, and orgasm is not as frequent. So, in addition to finding alternative methods of touch, what are some options for increasing orgasm or getting libido back?
Yeah, so getting the I say this and I feel bad, but it's like exposure therapy. It's going back to relearn your whole body. And outside of touch, it's like actually just learning your body. You don't have to touch it, just start to learn it again. Start to be present in your body. Using toys and lubrication and really allowing yourself to go into those fantasy aspects of your connection with your partner, talking about things, being spontaneous
Talk,
with each other.
y'all.
Mhm, mhm.
Conversation. It's the
Yes.
worst. We don't wanna.
No, you don't want to, but what happens when you do, right? We never
Mm.
want to. It's like that line, we broach it and we're like, "We know it's fun on the other side, but we wanna stay over here." It's time to talk again. And this is why relationships tank during this stage of our lives. We become different people, and the other people we're with, our partners, are not willing to learn the new person we're becoming. That's why the communication, using lube.
Right. That's why marriage has such a high divorce rate after the kids have graduated from high
Mhm.
school and college. It's not the empty nest
No.
that's the problem, it's the changes in the relationship.
Yes, because your main focus has been your children, your family, your center of everything. And then all of a sudden you have this free time. I have heard couples and they're older. She's like, ugh, I don't want to have dinner with you. It's just the two of us. I'm like, girl, me too sometimes. But
Sometimes, but man, if your partner is not still your best friend, then that is a thing that you need to have an actual conversation about.
yeah. And if talking is not your thing, time. Time together without distractions, without other things. Sit, crochet, put your feet on his lap. I'm not a foot person, but just sitting in each other's presence and remembering, asking them like, "What's your favorite color?" And they'll look at you and be like, "What?" It's like, I'm just trying to learn you. When's the last time you did that? Some couples get the joy of going back to like we're dating again and they go back to their younger years, and others are like, I don't even know who I'm sleeping beside. And then we take that on because our self-confidence tanks because now we're dealing with menopause, incontinence, all these other issues that now society tells us is normal, which it's not, girls, women. It's not. If you have incontinence issues, there's lots of resources for pelvic health and support to get through that. And you should not be ashamed of it, but it's also not normal. And so when we have this lack of
And we don't just
self-esteem,
have to accept this. That's what's
no.
key here is
Mhm.
that while all of these things are happening to your body, you do not just have to accept them
Nope.
as things that you must suffer through.
Mhm. And so when we do accept it, all we're doing is going through a grief cycle that we have repeated through our lives. Many of us women that were anyone who views this, women we work with, Briar, we have gone through grief cycles in our lives. Why are we doing it again? Why are we going through our longest stage in life that's supposed to be so beautiful and full of pleasure? Whether y'all like it or not, it's going to be full of pleasure. and we're grieving and we're sad and our self-esteem is low and we don't know how to date and we don't even know ourselves. That's why I said, like, really relearn yourself. What are you into? What sparks joy? What do you hate? Like, know those answers because when it comes up and you have that conflict, you're able to be like, I've never liked that. I did that because the kids were around.
And once again, I encourage y'all to go watch my interview with Karina
Mhm,
Blackheart. One of the things that is beautiful about being on the other side of menopause
mhm.
is that everything levels out
Yeah,
and you have your brain back in ways that you have not had it your entire fucking life
no.
because there are no hormonal cycles anymore, and suddenly you get to be whoever you want to be. It's
Yeah,
a really enjoyable stage if you allow it to be.
yeah.
So, advocating for yourself during
Mhm, mhm.
menopause is what is going to get you to the
The
other
other side.
side where you get to be a fully formed, fully
Mhm.
functional crone. And we don't like that word,
I
but we're
love it.
taking it back.
Yes, we're taking it back, and we're taking it back it's it's like when we talked about the trauma Olympics, I'm like, "It's not the crone Olympics either, it's not who's crone longer or who." No, we're building sisterhood in crone stage.
Mhm.
Crone is where we are coming back and roaring back into this world what we want. That is what that stage is. So advocating so that when we get there, because I'm on the tail end of menopause, I know it's gonna end soon. It's it's been a ride, but I'm ready to be off of it and I'm ready to feel normal as me, as Alex, without all the interference of drugs and other things they wanted to give me.
Mhm.
Mhm,
And women who are gifted this time
mhm.
and no more fucks to give because you run out of those.
Oh yeah.
It's an incredible time of personal development. And I really want you to start leaning into this. Our generation is going to have so many
Mhm.
incredible women in their 40s, 50s, 60s on
Yep.
out who are doing kick ass things because we're not stopping and we're not
Mhm,
going to go hide in a closet anymore.
mhm.
Just you wait, y'all.
Yeah. Well, we're already seeing it. These beautiful
Mhm.
women going back, getting multiple degrees, multiple learning, getting sparking joy in something and taking it up and kicking ass at it. We're already seeing women build these bridges with other women. It is already happening. So I'm just like, look at me sitting here with Briar. It is not the end of it. It is the beginning of big things. As a woman in it, it's the beginning of big things.
And I think that that is that's what I'm taking away, that it really has changed my perspective on the change.
The change.
I want to be able to look forward to it.
Mhm.
I think we have a right to look forward to it. And when we frame it correctly, it's an actual gift.
Yep.
So I really encourage people to do the work around this part of their life and their
Mhm.
cycle and figure out what it means to you.
Yeah.
I I want you to go out and do those incredible things on
Mhm.
the other side of
Mhm.
this part of your life. And truly, there is no better gift than this.
No. And it's like our 4th trimester, but for ourselves.
Ooh.
If yeah, that's what I've been using, Brian. It's our 4th trimesters, but for ourselves. Lie in. Eat the food that, like, inspires you, you love. Dance naked under the moon, I don't care. Move your body, sit in hot baths, read. This is what more women are taking these, and it's I hate self-care stuff, but it's like we're laying in and really giving ourselves what we need. So it's not self-care. It's like we're loving ourselves how we need to be loved. We're touching our bodies how they deserve to be touched. And we're doing the fourth trimester of us.
And Amanda said, I have just realized that we have to be at the no fucks to give
Mhm.
stage. And that's exactly it. We
Yep.
have to be able to recognize that we
Mhm.
deserve to be advocated for.
Absolutely, 100%. And when we're at the no fuck stage, we don't care if somebody's staring back at us and be like, "Are you sure?" We're gonna be like, "Yes, I'm sure. I know my body." And that's why I really say, like, put on that mask of like being assertive. And if you feel brave, just be like, "You work for me. This is my body. You work for me. Let's figure this out." I know it's hard, but once we get there,
Yes. Okay. So, final thoughts on menopause.
it's not the change that we need to be scared of. It's the beauty that we get to. It's freaking freedom. It's the time women are quitting their jobs and doing what they really want to do. We don't have to live for other people. We don't have to parent other people. We get to parent ourselves, love ourselves. It is the fourth trimester of us. We get to be whatever the hell we want. It's a new page. Burn the other shit if you want. It's all about you now.
Ooh,
Mhm.
burn it all down. That's
Burn it all
great.
down. That's my mood today. Thanks, guys.
So, next time, last episode,
Mhm.
sad face, we are talking about sexual dysfunction. Give us a
Yeah.
little preview of what we're going to go into here.
So we're going to talk about sexual dysfunction that many people think is actually menopause. I'm just putting that out there. Side note. And we're going to talk about how we can be intimate and connect to our partners without actual having sex, healthy boundaries, and how to get our mojo back if we really want to work on that. So it's going to be good.
I'm excited. It's
Me too.
very fun.
Mhm.
Thank you, y'all. This has been amazing. Alex, you are a gift. And where can people find you?
So I'm on Facebook as Alex Watt, and I have a Facebook page, which is my business page, Braided Directions. So reach out anytime, honestly, open DMs. Love to talk to women, love to help.
And I think that's what we want you to walk away with. There is help. You don't got to do this
Mhm,
alone. Please stop
mhm,
doing this alone. It doesn't matter if it's your mental health, your physical health,
mhm.
your sexual health.
Health, yes.
It's all health, and we want you to get the help you need.
Yeah. And once we heal those aspects like sexual health and stuff, you don't realize how great life can be.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. We will see you in 2 weeks
Mhm,
for sexual dysfunction. It's
mhm.
like it's a party around
Party.
here.
Party.
If you are interested in developing your own masterclass curriculum, I still have 2 slots available
Ooh.
for July. I would love to have you on this journey and figuring out how to impart your wisdom to the masses. Alex has been such a delightful partner in this. And I'm so excited for what you're going to have when we're finished here, right?
Mhm,
It's this amazing whole health curriculum that
mhm.
we've built now that you can use forever and ever. It's
Yeah.
so delightful to me.
Well, you're so delightful, and I've loved every second of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, reach out,
Yes.
briarharvey.com/partners. You can find us here at the Neurodiversity Media Network, and we will see y'all again next time. Talk to you later, y'all. Bye.